This KFAN podcast is sponsored by Builders and Remodelers, exclusive Twin Cities provider of Elements Windows. Get the highest quality windows at unmatchable value. Visit buildersandremodelers.com for more details. Just in case you missed it, it's the top 5 sports talkers of the day. Now, it's time for Dan Barrero's Top 5 at 5. Brought to you by Gutter Helmet of Minnesota. Never clean your gutters again. Learn more at gutterhelmetmn.com.
All right, mini top 5 at 5. We can extend it if you have like reams of outstanding material, whatever works for you.
I wouldn't say reams. I'd say I have some.
Okay.
And how about this? Oops, something went wrong. I was really looking forward to bringing you highlights of Luke Keishel's day today. That's all anybody's talking about.
Talk of the town?
Besides the Kessler bar fight at a Posh and Tony downtown Milwaukee hotel, all they're talking about is the kid that has missed most of the season and has come up the last 2 days and delivered back-to-back big moments and back-to-back victories for your Twins. Not dead yet, Dan. 54 and 60. No, they're dead. But not because of Luke Keisel.
I haven't actually checked the standings about how buried they are.
Well, the Tigers' lead is actually getting a little bit smaller, but
they haven't played well at all.
No. Lately. And that's kind of what Kevin Kernan said a couple of, was it last week when we had him on? The unfortunate part about the fact that the Twins had to sell everybody and they're no good is he doesn't think anybody's good. He doesn't think there's anybody that's true in the American League that is just head and shoulders above the rest. Tigers lead the Guardians by 6 games now. They've lost 2 in a row. Cleveland's won 3 in a row. And the Twins are 54 and 60 and return home to what I'm sure will be a raucous Target Field on Friday night to take on the Kansas City Royals.
Well, I think it's the first series victory we've had since the All-Star break.
I think that's right.
I think this is like 5 in a row before that for Mike Yeo that we had lost.
And the first series since the trade deadline, by the way, at Target Field is this weekend.
Are you suggesting that there might be a decent walk-up crowd simply because we just took 2 out of 3 from the Tigers and everybody wants to know about the new guy?
I'm suggesting it's going to be a very interesting crowd. Number one, who's there, how big it is, and how angry they are, and how the team is received upon their return to Minneapolis. They have an off day tomorrow to think about it and are back in action on Friday.
Somebody showed up. Where was it that somebody showed up? Was it Detroit or Cleveland? Somebody showed up with a Fire Rocco sign. I still think it's like... if that's still your biggest point of emphasis and anger, then you're really not paying attention, or you have some sort of curious obsession with Rocco Baldelli. That's all I can tell you. I'm looking at the wild card standings just for the sake of, technically, we're only 6.5 out. 6.5 out of the last wild card spot. We got how many teams in front of us? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Cleveland, Texas, KC, Tampa Bay, and the Angels are all in front of us. But if we got on a hot streak, who's to say?
Why not us? Why not now?
I guess so.
Minnesota Lynx in their first game without Nafisa Collier, their first full game from the most recent injury, the ankle that's going to keep her out at least a couple of weeks. Which, if it's only a couple of weeks, it's only 5 games, and now it's 4, and they're 1-0 in that stretch. They outlast the Seattle Storm last night, late in Seattle. You heard it right here on the Fan. 91-87 was the final. DeJohnny Carrington, the newest Lynx, 13 points on 5 of 7 shooting, made the only 3 she took. Had 4 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals, and a block in her Minnesota Lynx debut. So Minnesota is 25-5. Return home, speaking of Friday night, to take on the Washington Mystics at Target Center, 6:30. Game you can hear right here on the Fan as well. Bigger crowd on Friday, the Lynx Mystics or the Twins Royals?
Well, I'm guessing seats sold, Twins.
Actual attendance, I think it's going to be
Actual
close.
attendance, it might be pretty close.
They're getting 9-10.
Who are we playing?
The Mystics, who aren't very good.
They're not very good.
But it's Friday night.
Yeah, it is a Friday night. I might still lean Twins, but again, they've added a player that she's got to be delighted too, right? To walk into this situation.
Yes, everybody would love to play for the Lynx except Meesman.
That's true. You got, everything to gain and really nothing to lose. Reeve is going to find, if you play defense, Reeve's going to find time for you. She'll be able to mix and match this thing. And she really doesn't have that much responsibility. That's the beauty of her position that's got to be so liberating. No one's asking her to score. You got a lot of scorers on this team. She can just go play without any real burden. There's no burden on Carrington, but she can be a very effective player, especially one would think in a playoff sense. So stay tuned.
Lastly, in the top 5, this is a great football moment, Dan. It's football season. The New England Patriots are coming here next week for joint practices. First preseason game for the Vikes this Saturday against the Texans, 3 o'clock. See what happened to Mike Vrabel, the Patriots head coach?
No.
It's a football guy. He's a tough guy, right?
He is. He's a street fight guy.
He jumped into a pile of players at Wednesday's practice.
Sounds like Kessler.
With the Commanders. Came out with a bloodied cheek, which caught the attention of the players in the ensuing huddle. Drake May, your guy. That's what we're trying to build. And it starts with the head coach.
Oh, come on.
Intensity. Bringing it every day. Taking no crap when we're out there on the field.
You can't.
The mentality, I like it. That's what you want.
Oh, my God.
Do I know you or do I know you?
They're all falling for this stuff, aren't they?
I brought it up for one reason.
Bud Grant get in the middle of a fray like that. You know what Bud Grant would say if he ended up with a cut on his cheek or blood? He'd say, what an idiot I am. And nobody's more competitive than Bud Grant, right? Come on. You know what that's about, in all honesty? It's when you don't have anything else, like accomplishment and performance to fall back on, that's what you rally around, as if that's kind of some sort of a meaningful sign. It just has no... Whatever the New England Patriots do, well, here's how it's going to be. If they end up going like 14-3, everybody's going to harken back to this day.
Of course.
If they go a mediocre 3-14 or even like 8-9 or a little worse,
that's the right math.
It'll never come up again. You'll never hear about it again, other than if somehow they break through, and then it'll be just because that's when the message was sent and delivered, and the tone was there for everybody to understand.
Morgan Moses, offensive tackle, he loves what he does. Anytime you got a coach you see out there wearing pads and getting punched by guys and doing drills, it makes you want to go harder. He understands the process as a player and a coach.
God, I wish we had KOC on again. I'd love to ask him about this. Say, KOC, have you thought about maybe just getting in the middle of a melee just to see what happens? And then if you get knocked around a little bit, the players will rally around you like they've never rallied around you before.
KOC, basically, he does like fake Euro steps on Quasi into like finger rolls.
That's what it looks like.
That's what he does.
That is true.
Which is awesome.
Yeah.
But it's not this.
No, I don't think it's this.
I knew you'd love that one.
Well, I mean, how about you? I mean, come on.
No, it's stupid.
You know it has no real
it's stupid
meaning. I mean, it's just. And by the way, I mean, the weird thing about it is, Vrabel, I think, was already thought of as a former football player.
Yeah,
He's a pretty tough guy.
He's a football guy.
So whether he did this or not, I don't think that was going to change. I don't think he needed this. There might have been coaches who needed this kind of a thing, right? Where you say, like maybe Chili. You'd say Brad Childress needed that kind of a thing. I don't think Vrabel does, but we'll see. All right, let's try to stay somewhat on schedule. A lot of good Kessler reaction. We're going to try to capture some of that when we come back. News on the march and much more before we wrap it up at 6:30. 507 guy writes, this was perhaps the best Kessler segment ever. Thank you for the entertainment. He joined us about 4:30. Pugnacious Pat, the political pontiff. I'm worried sick about Bursich. Did someone lobotomize him and turn him into a sex slave? No.
Wow.
That's a bit excessive. He simply forgot. He was at camp, and
that's a big leap.
He slipped his mind that he was supposed to be on with us between 3 and 4. And now he admittedly can't come on because he is on Sirius XM talking Vikings. Tell Kessler to get Kenny Patera to go to the pub with him. Ryan, I just canceled my Gopher football tickets because my brass knuckles won't show up in time on Amazon. Pat needs a posse for his next bar encounter. Maybe Kessler is secretly the Hulk, and that's why he keeps up his fraudulent, folksy, farm-grown, corn-fed, everyman, ass-kissing formality of a local TV personality. personality.
Wow.
So he doesn't get mad and turn green on the population that he secretly despises.
Did we write that one? That feels like something we would have written.
That is pretty well done, I got to say. Milwaukee is called the Cream City because of the color of the limestone, which dominates its architecture. It has nothing to do with the dairy industry.
Oh, that's cool.
We all know it's Comrade Pat or Maoist Pat as one who holds the water and pushes the propaganda of the party. Just don't be triggered by Oprah? Well, I don't think he was triggered by Oprah. The other guy's triggered by Oprah.
Yes.
I would
and
say.
Michelle Obama and Kamala Harris.
I think this is all that complicated. The question that comes up is whether it's ever worth attempting to engage some, because I know it's like, well, I've got to stand tall and I've got to plant my feet, and I guess you can feel better about yourself doing it, but you're not going to have any impact on an idiot like that. You know what I'm saying? So
exactly right.
It's a no-win situation. Easier said than done at the moment. I grant that.
Sometimes.
This is good. More arousing, the Kurt Schilling bloody sock or the Vrabel cheek? It's a great question. Remember that callback? Remember the bloody sock and the controversy surrounding it?
Yes. Isn't the sock in the Hall of Fame now?
It is. Although I think somebody mistakenly washed it, which took away a little bit of its
that's too
luster. Bad. What else we got here? Do we determine? No. How about pugilistic Pat? That wouldn't be bad.
Somebody tweeted at me, Kessler the wrestler.
That's all right, yeah. I see that one too, yeah. Distinguished McAllister alum behaves like hooligan in Wisconsin.
Yeah.
That's one of the headlines.
That would have been the headline.
Kessler has to keep his nose clean if he still has ambitions for the pot commissioner. Kessler the Crusher is also being offered. Kessler the Crusher. In all seriousness about Kessler, as someone who grew up in outstate Minnesota, Kessler's interaction is happening all over rural Minnesota and Wisconsin, hence the reason for such a staunch MAGA movement. And what else was that? That's a good overview, I guess, of several of those. My concern, based on the way he told the story, is I think he's lucky there wasn't a fight. I really do. I think it sounds like that guy was ready to go to war. Now you could say if he really wanted to, he would have gone ahead and taken a swing at him. And I mean, it's sick that my mind works this way. Perversely, I don't want anybody to get hurt, but I kind of want to imagine the story if somebody would have taken a punch at him, a swing at him.
And he had like a shiner?
Yeah, he ends up with a shiner. Chairs start getting knocked around. Glasses get thrown through the mirror behind the bar. Sounds like it was at a hotel bar.
Yes, that's what it sounds like, yeah.
It's
I wonder how many fights Kessler's
story you could imagine.
I know. And it seemed to have escalated so quickly.
Yes.
They're brothers in arms.
They're clinking glasses.
Yeah.
That's the part you can't, I hate to say it, but I think that's the part you can't trust. Because you never know where it's going to go, south. And that just because you think you've established a good vibe with somebody like that, you don't know that person.
Right.
You have no idea what they're capable of doing, correct?
Apples and oranges here a little bit, but you'll recall that Charlie Barker and me, our buddy from Westwood One,
yes,
we had a similar situation at a Houston hotel bar with Michael Beasley, the former Minnesota Timberwolf.
Oh, that's right.
Final Four.
That's right.
10 years ago, he had just been signed by the Rockets.
Yeah.
And was staying at the hotel across from the Toyota Center where we were staying. So he was there. Most of the nights we were there. And I started talking to him. I did some kind of David Kahn cheap shot to kind of break the ice, which he liked. And we had a great conversation. But then it did turn, as I think you might remember, when his theory was basically... Had Beasley and Kevin Love been kept together, we never would have heard of Steph Curry and the Golden State Warriors run. They would have won championships. Now, at that point, I could have done what Kessler did and said, "Are you bleeping with me?"
Or how much of the devil weed Michael Beasley have you been messing with?
But what did I do? I let Beasley go.
You let Beasley be Beasley.
Yeah. Now, first of all, if there's a fight, I'm not winning it against Beasley.
No.
I don't need to be on Beasley's bad side.
No.
But there's sometimes when you just have to do the calculus in your mind, and you know I'm not great at math, but in real life math, I'm okay, right. And say, I could say something to Beasley, but we've been getting along, and
what's it going to accomplish?
He seems to believe this, and why not?
He's that delusional.
Yeah. So anyway.
Yeah, that is a good analogy, actually. That's what happens, I think, might depend on how much booze you've had. It might just depend on your mood, where you some of it is all timing, because maybe you've had 2 or 3 of similar kinds of incidents in recent weeks in which you've let it go. But then you go, I can't let this building up. I got to get this out of my system. Why do I keep having these conversations with delusional idiots? And then you go, you know what? This time I am going to say something. So a lot of it, again, I think is context, is circumstance, it's mood you might want to be in. And you go, oh, I'm not going to humor this guy. No, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to give you what. If that's the price of our bonding and our kinship, that I have to agree with you that Oprah Winfrey's a man, I'm sorry. I'm not going to go there. This is just third grade stupidity. What are we doing? Why are we wasting our time with it? So in the end, the approach you took is better. It's safer. It's probably more adult. But I get how, depending on the buildup, what you've had just happen, maybe the mood of a given day, you go, no, today I'm not going to let it go. Today I'm going to make a point. Bottom of the hour break, we've got news on the march. Keep the text coming to the Bradshaw and Bryant KFAN text line. But we got a couple of good news on the march items. One of them, bad news, very bad news, coming out of the state of Texas. And what else do we have? Oh, no, Georgia. Where was the military location? Georgia. I'm sorry, Georgia. And much more when we return. Active duty soldier on a U.S. Army base in Georgia shot and injured 5 other soldiers. Officials are saying the 5 injured, fortunately, are all listed in stable condition and expected to recover, according to an Army Brigadier General, the Fort Stewart senior commander. He identified the suspect, who is in custody, as 28-year-old Cornelius Radford. The motivations, according to this story at least, not yet known. The commander said that Radford did not use a military weapon and was thought to have used a personal handgun. Soldiers in the area that witnessed the shooting immediately and without hesitation tackled the soldier. That allowed law enforcement to take him into custody. Radford had not previously deployed to combat, had no prior disciplinary issues. Apparently from Jacksonville, Florida, joined the Army as an automated logistical specialist in January 2018. Reached via text. His father, Eddie Radford, said Cornelius was his son, called the shooting a tragedy, said he had no warning this was coming. He was always in good spirits, always respectful to everyone he meets. Radford wrote, said his family were praying for everybody that was indeed hurt. As more details come, we'll pass them along to you. This falls under the classification of it ain't good, but sounds like it might have been potentially much worse.
Ain't good and out of nowhere.
And out of nowhere, yeah, which is often the case, unfortunately. Speaking of shootings, you remember the Midtown Manhattan shooter that was apparently felt he had a grievance against the National Football League?
Yes.
And tried to take out his wrath and his anger on folks in that office. He unfortunately ended up opening the wrong door, but he did his damage. He killed 4 individuals. And Wall Street Journal has a story indicating that police, there's always this question of, well, it seems like he had a history of mental illness. How did he end up with a gun? Why didn't officials intercede sooner if there were some red flags? Well, according to this Wall Street Journal story, police had twice visited the home of the gunman in question. over fears he was armed and suicidal, according to criminal records, including 911 calls and body camera footage. Shane Tamura, 27 years old, who last week sprayed bullets inside 345 Park Avenue, the Midtown skyscraper that is home to corporations including private equity firm Blackstone and the National Football League, was the subject of a pair of mental health crisis interventions by Las Vegas police in 2022 and 2024. He also was arrested for trespassing at a Vegas casino in 2023. The 911 call from September 2022 indicates that Tamura's mother told a police dispatcher that he had a handgun, a history of concussions, and wanted to end his life. He's under doctor's care for depression, concussion, like sports concussions, chronic migraines, and insomnia. He says he is going to kill himself. Records from 2022 show that Tamura was taking medication, but police didn't believe it was helping. He had a gun, according to police, but it wasn't in his possession when they arrived at his home. 2023 is when he refused to show cashiers his ID while attempting to cash more than $5,000 of casino chips. And he apparently became irate, refused police instructions to leave, and was charged with trespassing in that case. In the second mental health crisis incident, August of a year ago, Tamura made vague threats about killing himself to his mother and paramedics. And when an officer from the Metropolitan Police Department in Vegas arrived at his apartment, paramedics told the officer that Tamura again said he wanted to commit suicide, called his mom and made some statements about not wanting to be here anymore. Calm and cooperative with us, but he did tell us he had a handgun in his bag. I assume in both cases there wasn't enough evidence for those who visited him to take whatever next step people think might be the next step that you're looking for here, right? Whether it's to get more professional help, put him in a place where maybe he does not have a choice. But in the two cases, according to this story, he was not threatening anyone else, right? The threat was he might kill himself, which is, of course, serious enough, but it's very different. And it speaks to, when people say, well, come on, there's alarm bells, there's signals that came out. How come authorities didn't act on it? These examples, to me, I think sort of underscore the point that that's easier said than done. There are legalities. The threshold is high when it comes to, getting someone committed, for example. And in this case, there's some times where maybe you look back and you say, well, it doesn't feel like they handled it all that aggressively or proactively. But in this case, I'm guessing, based on this reporting, is there wasn't enough there for them to take whatever kind of next step would be to sort of take it out of the hands of that particular individual. It all does point to a bad situation that was waiting for something really, really serious potentially to happen. And look, there's a million of cases like this in which it doesn't rise to the level that this one ultimately did in Midtown Manhattan. But you could sort of see that there certainly was some handwriting on the wall, that there were possibilities here, that this is a guy who wasn't in control of his mental faculties, thought ultimately that he had a grievance as well. And at that point, when you feel we've talked about this too. No matter how good security is, you're still going to have cracks in that security. You're still going to have people who if they have serious intent, could do harm, especially if they feel like they have nothing to lose. And this person, based on the pain he said he was suffering, clearly felt like he had zero to lose, correct?
Yeah.
And that level of desperation is what adds another layer to the possibility that something really bad sometimes is going to end up happening.
And to remind people, the way it was reported, the gun that he used that day was not a gun that he got legally.
Yes.
Right?
Correct.
He got that from, I think, a former boss or a pit boss at a casino that he worked at. So when people say, how could this have been prevented? It's like, even with the ways we have to prevent something like this, he had gone around those.
And I don't know, it's an open question about how the laws are in Vegas in terms of was there enough in these two incidents that something might have gotten in the way? The answer is obviously no, in this case. Now, I guess I am kind of curious, and there's not that much reporting in this story on this, is, okay, if authorities knew he had a gun and he's talking about suicide, were there steps that, was there more information? Well, where is your gun? And finding ways to confiscate. I don't know what's possible. My guess, again, is legalities get in the way. You can't just decree that you're going to take away somebody's gun. So, in any case, it I think confirms the obvious that this is an individual who had a number of very significant, I should say, mental health issues for sure. This is, I think, definitely news on the march worthy, and it goes back. Check the date on this. What's today? Today is August 6th. This is a week ago, but maybe it's a sign that we need to have our counter-terror big knocker, Michael Hurley, on again soon. There's so much that's being written and said and debated regarding Gaza, right? Israeli behavior, Palestinian behavior, Hamas behavior in particular, et cetera, correct? I feel like this story originally did get some attention, but that it should be getting more attention. This came up, I think, I didn't see the most recent Bill Maher episode, but I think he brought this up during the panel, one of the panel discussion. The world's Arab countries, for the first time, have joined unanimously in the call for Hamas to lay down its weapons, release all hostages, and end its rule of the Gaza Strip. Conditions, they said, could help the establishment of a Palestinian state. Again, we're talking about the 22 member nations of the Arab League saying, enough, Hamas needs to go away. The surprise declaration endorsed last Tuesday by the 22 member nations of the League also condemned Hamas's October 7 attacks on Israel, which set off the devastating war in Gaza. The statement came at a UN conference in New York on a two-state solution to end the decades-long conflict between Israelis and Palestinians. In the context of ending the war in Gaza, Hamas must end its rule in Gaza and hand over its weapons to the Palestinian Authority with international engagement and support in line with the objectives of a sovereign and independent Palestinian state. It was also signed by all 27 European states and 17 other countries. The declaration calls for the deployment of a temporary international stabilization mission invited by the Palestinian Authority, which administers part of the Israeli-occupied West Bank and under the aegis of the United Nations as well. Many Arab leaders have working relations with Hamas and rule over populations that are deeply committed to the Palestinian cause. And as they point out in this story, that has made them reluctant to break publicly with the group. The fact that they have should be monumental. Now, again, the comeback to it is, well, there's no teeth. Are any of these countries saying, well, we are going to put together an Arab League military force to put our money where our mouth is with this thing? Because you can say, without any kind of a teeth behind it, it's not like Hamas is going to go, well, they got us. It's time. Let's just going to lay down our arms and move on and abdicate the authority that we think we have, or that we like to believe we have, or we've lived for. I'd like to think internationally, from a geopolitical standpoint, though, this is a huge breakthrough. I guess the question, and maybe that's why Hurley's worth having on soon, is what would the next step be? What can you do with what is an utter and complete departure? It doesn't sound like anybody expected it, right? And when it's coming from the Arab League, it would seem to be further confirmation that Hamas should have zero credibility in this case, and that regardless of what Israel is or isn't doing, and there's plenty of criticism, absolutely understandable in the case of the Israeli approach under Netanyahu, that a significant part of the problem is this particular organization is absolutely damaging to this process, deadly to this process, and does absolutely nothing to further the cause of the individuals that supposedly they are supposed to be helping. Did you see this story? Do you remember?
Didn't. No.
Yeah. It's like it got mentioned. I'm not saying it wasn't covered, but I feel like it's like this should be big. The Arab League is saying it's over. You're not helping. You are hurting. You are, in effect, they're saying, a terroristic organization that has done nothing to help in this situation. It's time you get out of there. And the issue is, you just wish there was teeth to go with it. Because I don't know. And, again, that would be a messy process as well. But I think I found it very interesting, I guess I should say, and worthy of a little discussion. Because, quite frankly, as I said, there hasn't really been, I don't think, enough of it. There's plenty of criticism worth discussing. We can debate regarding the Israeli approach and whether they own more of this problem, whether they have earned it or not, right? But what's odd to me is there's a continued endless stomach to debate, to call Israel on the carpet in that regard. That discussion never ends. This discussion, I feel like, barely began before the story almost, it seemed like it went away almost as quickly as it got there. I got one other news on the March item. I can't say I saw this coming. Have you ever wondered? You're a reasonably curious guy.
Yeah.
Have you ever wondered what happened to Neanderthal man?
Neanderthal man?
That Neanderthal man. Yeah, back in the day. They are our ancestral cousins.
Yes.
And they went mysteriously extinct, apparently about 40,000 years ago. Humans did not, but Neanderthals did. There is now scientific evidence to suggest that not having sunscreen and tailored clothing might have played a role.
Tailored clothing?
Tailored clothing. Here's the story. The demise of one and survival of the other continues to flummox paleoanthropologists, but some researchers now think sunscreen and tailored clothing might have played a role. Around the time Neanderthals bit the dust, a weakening of the Earth's magnetic field, and you doubted, Kyrie Irving, resulted in exposure to higher doses of harmful ultraviolet radiation. Clothing would have offered some protection. Both groups wore animal skins, but evidence suggests that the Neanderthals tended to wear loose-fitting clothes.
Right.
That was their style. And it may have cost them. While Homo sapiens sewed form-fitting garments.
Like Lululemon.
Humans also coated themselves with mineral pigments, which would have functioned as an ancient SPF. That's how far ahead of the time they were. They didn't need any of these copper tone fancy brands.
Copper tone.
They had SPF.
Banana Sun.
Banana Sun. Which one's your favorite?
I don't know.
Yeah. Sun, is that one? No.
It's
Hawaiian Tropic.
Hawaiian Tropic.
That's another one.
Is there even a Banana Sun? I don't
even know. There might be. No, there's Banana Republic. That's a store.
That's a good store.
Isn't it?
I like that store.
Does that still exist?
Yeah, I think so.
The increased exposure when Earth's north and south magnetic poles began to wander from their traditional positions. So, Cro-Magnon, we hardly knew you. I should say Neanderthal. Hardly knew you, but apparently if you just tightened up the clothing a little bit, not gone so, loose-fitting, with it and wow at the time.
Right.
I think maybe it was more comfortable. It's just said, tighten it up just a little bit. They could still be around.
Well, I'm going to push back on the premise that they're not still around. Did you not listen to Pat Kessler's bar fight conversation at 4:30 today? Are we sure?
Yeah, you're right.
Are we sure the sun got all of them?
Yeah. I don't know.
You do ask me, though, have I been wondering what happened to them? Today, my almost 11-year-old basically got going about the history of the Earth.
Oh.
And how it started and how we got here and all these questions that, of course, I have no answers for, right? Because of things like that, the dinosaurs, well, who started this whole
what about
thing?
religion?
there's religion in that
all
too.
Intersected, yeah.
And that's kind of where I limped in. I said, well, there's some that say that, that God started the whole bit. If you want to believe that, there's a Big Bang theory.
Yeah.
I said, it doesn't make any sense to me, buddy, how we all got here.
But we're here.
But we're all here somehow, some way. So we did kind of have a conversation like this today, and I had no answers whatsoever, other than...
You just punted.
Well, I just said it's really confusing.
Yeah.
I don't understand it either. Maybe that's something that we can look up together because, as a dad, you're supposed to be the resource for everything. And on some of this stuff, math included, and this
is pretty
the history
weighty,
of the world and Earth and how we all got here, I'm completely in the dark.
Whoever had the tailored clothing probably did have an advantage. But was it exclusive to one group, and was it enough to lead to the extinction of one and proliferation of the other? These are million-dollar questions. I wonder, you think Kessler could have calmed the situation at that Milwaukee bar if he had changed the subject to this? Do you think it might have, had the guy thinking about, I haven't even thought of that. Is that right? What happened to the Neanderthal man?
No, because Kessler was trying to pour gas on it eventually.
No, that's true.
I think he would have taken the cheap shot that I just did.
Yeah, he might have. That's very possible. Anyway, that's today's edition of News on the March. I think a pretty good mix, pretty eclectic mix as well. If you have reaction, please hit to the Bradshaw and Bryant KFAN text line, which as always is 64686. Not everybody is buying some of the theories. Did you say banana boat?
I said something. I think I said banana sun. Is it banana boat?
Yeah, it's banana boat.
Yeah.
I think the most with it and wow one is none of the ones we've named now.
Probably.
I think there's one or two. And then there's fancy ones. That's become in a lot of vacation spots. There's certain tanning products that are banned now because of allegedly the impact they have on the shorelines, beach lines, and so forth. Yeah, that's become a big controversial issue as well. I don't know how you enforce it exactly, but they're doing
sunscreen checks on the way to the beach.
I don't know, and I don't even know what there's, I think, particular ingredients. I don't know what they are, though, that a number of these locations are saying not going to work for us. It's hurting our shore.
The story that you just read, that's kind of your approach, isn't it? For sun protection is the long sleeves and the hat. You don't really go into the sun. I never
stopped wearing long sleeves.
Right, that's true. You kept them going.
Yeah, I do. I wear longs. Well, I shouldn't say I always wear long sleeves on the beach, but I'm smart enough to not take my shirt off. I mean, I don't want to make everybody on the beach have to scurry off.
You're not the only one. They're not looking at you.
They're not?
No. Self-deprecating to a fault. They don't care.
Yeah, there's limits, though, I think. There's a couple of people that have I think I've seen kids react in fear.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Run the other way?
I mean, I might not be in that league, but I'm just saying there's a little bit of that. Well, that's always been the beauty of allegedly, the European.
Smoke them if you got them.
European men and women say, we don't care, what our bodies look like. We're not trying to win any contests. We're going to be free and easy. I don't mean naked, but I mean, we're going to wear what everybody else wears on the beach. And if there's a little more stuff, if there's more stuff sagging, or there's a little extra layer of blubber, deal with it. We're going to be comfortable. It's hot out. We're going to be comfortable with it. We're comfortable in our skin. Why can't Americans be comfortable in their own?
We're too self-conscious.
I think we are too self-conscious. Yeah. I think that's very true. Top of the hour pause. A couple of good texts coming in, which we will indeed discuss. Maybe a little Vikings talk. We originally intended to talk a lot of Vikings with Pete Bursich. He forgot about us. We'll get him on again, and we'll be out at training camp tomorrow as well. Don't go away. Completion from JJ to Hawkinson, looks like, over the middle.
The one over the middle? Yeah.
That's a nice play. Looked like timing was good on it. He's releasing before Hawk has even gone into making his break.
Seen it clearly. No defense there, right? Or at least pass rush?
Not much, yeah. That's 100% right. There's literally no one in his face. There's not even anybody. Yeah, there's no defensive line. There's nobody coming at all, which makes it easier, especially from like a visual standpoint.
Supposed to, yeah.
You got nothing in your way. So, did you see the?
We'll take anything we can get right now from the offense.
Told you about this. That's true. Who's the coach that hung up on me? The basketball coach. I'll have to narrow it down. Yeah, because Raleigh Massimino did it too. In this case, it's Sampson.
Yeah.
Did you see or hear the viral sound from Sampson that's going around getting a lot of attention the last week or so?
Yeah, is it the one about, like, basically we got to discipline them or no one's coming to their rescue?
No.
Which one was it?
Well, that may be a different one. This one in particular, and I enjoyed this very much, even though I'm not a huge Sampson fan. I don't know what the context was, but he was talking about, workouts and kids and how, you'll talk to a parent and the parent will say, yeah, my kid had, really good.
Against no defense.
Yeah,
yes, I did see this.
Really good workout.
Yep.
And Sampson will say, who was he playing against? Is it like 2-on-2? Is it 3-on-3? Or well, no, he was just working out. He was just against air. He was just working out. And Sampson went on and on about, well, that's great. That's wonderful. But at the end of the day, you're not going to really learn. I mean, you have to work on individual skills. And you could say shooting, for example, you can do that in more in a vacuum. But his point was, we've got this tendency now being pushed by a lot of basketball people that playing, I mean, that you're able to sufficiently evaluate a player and his or her progress on the basis of playing against air. In other words, it's we were just talking about. McCarthy made a nice throw. I mean, Hawkinson, there was somebody covering him in the secondary. It's true. But there was literally nothing at the line of scrimmage happening. McCarthy is just rearing back and throwing the ball. And at least you could say, well, there are a few people there. A basketball workout in which you're just working out with yourself. Sampson's saying, go down the street, man. Find a three. I mean, again, some places that's easier said than done, but go find a 3-on-3 game. Find out what your kid can do as a teammate. How he plays off of other people. How he guards the person if it's 3-on-3 on the other side of the 3-on-3. That he thinks that we're getting further and further away from that, and instead patting ourselves on the back, getting all excited about what a great workout that we had. And there's probably some common sense to that.
I think there's a lot of common sense to it. The issue is there's fewer and fewer of the opportunities that he's talking about.
That's also true.
Not necessarily that you can't watch people play, because there's probably more games than ever before. But just, I think what he's talking about doesn't happen very often. In terms of just the workouts getting better. Grabbing 4 or 5 people, doing pickup. I think LeBron and Day-Day had a rant about that earlier in the year, saying that's where you figure things out. How to play. You don't figure it out when going to the trainer. You figure it out when you're playing at, the playground, at your church, at your gym, whatever it is.
What kind of teammate are you?
And you got to win to stay on the court.
Yeah,
you got to figure that out. There's a lot of truth to that.
Apparently, and this kind of, I was kind of gobsmacked with this news. Apparently, Major League Baseball is about to make history.
Is that right?
They're calling up the first female umpire in the history of the game at this level.
I saw that.
Jen Powell, am I pronouncing that right? I don't know. Pawol. She is set to become the first woman to umpire Major League Baseball. She's going to work games this weekend between the Miami Marlins and the Atlanta Braves. There's a long statement from Rob Manfred, the commissioner, regarding her earning the opportunity. She's 48 years old. She's from New Jersey. She worked spring training games a year ago and this year. She will become the 5th umpire to debut this year, but this is the first time. What caught me by surprise is how far behind I feel like MLB is in this regard. MLB's move comes 28 years after the gender barrier for game officials was broken in the NBA, 10 years after the NFL hired its first full-time official. And even 3 years after the Men's Soccer World Cup employed a female referee. Then again, NHL still has not had any women as on-ice officials, to which Bill Guerin said,
it's frustrating.
That or you know what, a little of both. The last time, even in spring training, that a woman umpired in a big league game was 2007. Rhea Cortesio. She spent 9 years in the minors, including the last 5 in AA Southern League, and then was released after the 2007 season. I guess when I think about it, I don't remember any female umps that have been discussed that in that sense, but it is interesting that history is being made now in baseball when it's at least several other sports. It's kind of old news at this point. It's almost a yawner.
It is almost a yawner because we've seen it. I see it on College Football Saturdays.
Yeah.
It's happening in the NFL. The cynic in me says baseball's so far behind the times. They said, guys, we're about to give all this to robots.
Yeah.
We got to at least let a woman do it first before we take it away from everybody. But good for her.
Yeah. So we'll see. She's going to be in the meat grinder, whether it's fair or not, right? It's inevitable that now.
I don't know.
The isolation, online she will. I mean, online.
Is that real life though?
No, that's true. But I guess what I'm saying is because she is the first and there aren't in other sports, there's enough where I'd like to think they're evaluated on, well, you blew this call or you didn't blow this call, the way you'd say it with any other referee or official. But I think in baseball, it's going to stand out more if, let's say, her ball and strike counts are way off or something. She's calling strikes on a lot of balls that are out of the strike zone. I think there's going to be more emphasis on it simply because she's the only one. When you're the only one, whether it's fair or not, I think there tends to be more of a focus on it. I mean, that's why the story is news to a certain extent. And so once you make it news that a threshold has been crossed, then I think it's inevitable that the focus, there's going to be greater attention and focus and pressure. Doesn't mean it's fair, doesn't even mean it's right, but I think it ends up being a little bit inevitable. She's, I think I said 48 years old, was an all-state softball and soccer player. I'll tell you one thing I will say that is refreshing. I think I've talked about this before. In Twins broadcasts, the decision, I think conscious, maybe subconscious or unconscious, I don't know, to not be obsessed with whether we got screwed on the balls and strikes is so refreshing because it was a Dick Bremer special. I mean, Dick Bremer was absolutely obsessed with it. And it occasionally might come up in passing, but it'll be subtle and it'll be, we're moving on and it's not going to make that big of a deal about it. And we're not going to turn it into a Wagnerian opera. And we constantly heard it previously on the broadcast. Do you remember? I don't even think, like I said, I think it rarely comes up anymore. And it was exhausting. It really, for me, it was. It was like, because it was that double standard of, if we got a call out of the strike zone, it would be, oh, yeah, I guess we got that one. We'll take it. But that'll be the end of the discussion. But if it goes against us, it might go on for 3 innings, for God's sake. Or it might be, well, there's another pitch that we didn't get, and that's like 5 pitches we haven't gotten. It went on and on and on. And I think to a certain extent, some of it was just a function of that stupid, the electronic box.
Yes.
They did
the K box,
the square, whatever you want to call it, the rectangle, whatever it was. And once you put it out there, I guess for some people it becomes almost impossible to ignore. And I never found it a fascinating topic because within the course of a game, you're going to see pitches that are a little bit off. And then I often wasn't even sure I trusted the box itself. How accurate was the box?
It's true.
It's true. Some boxes, because not all the boxes, depending on the network that's involved and the systems being used, are equal. So I'm glad we've gone away from that. So good luck to her. Hope that indeed works out. But again, I was shocked, even though I can't say that I necessarily remembered any women umpires at the major league level, I was still nevertheless surprised when he said, well, this is history. This is the first time it's ever happened, ever.
It is wild.
Decades after it started in the always ahead of its time National Basketball Association. We'll come back to wrap up the program, remind you what you might have missed if you did not hear a very unusual Kessler conversation before we wrap it up.
Show wrap presented by American Pressure, commercial grade pressure washer since 1975.
It's the Bumper to Bumper show wrap.
And this is hard to do, especially catching you off guard. But if you had to pick the highlight, your favorite moment from our conversation with Peter Bursic in hour number 1, what would it be?
Probably talking about his dad with the Bears. You know, he got emotional thinking about that. You know, growing up, Chicago kid.
Yeah, the grand plan today, Gaardsy texted me earlier and said, how about some Pete Bursic today? I said, good idea. And that was all arranged, and then Pete forgot about us. And the problem was, he's apologized to both of us for that. I understand these things do happen. You get at training camp, you get waylaid. You're not accustomed to being on, so it's maybe not in your head right away.
Right.
Although my assumption is he's got a phone with him. It's not that difficult to answer the phone. But regardless, we'll have Pete on again. He was at camp, and then ultimately he was all over Sirius XM, the NFL channel. So there was no highlight to today's discussion with Peter. We hope there will be one soon. We do know we'll be at training camp tomorrow, and we generally get a Viking player. I don't know that player is yet established.
We have a target.
Oh, okay.
It is not yet confirmed.
Okay.
And I don't want to have another Harrison Smith issue like we had last year.
That's fine.
But we will have a defensive player, it sounds like, tomorrow.
Apparently, Senator Klobuchar was at practice today.
I saw that.
Saw a shot, nice photo opportunity with the head coach. We do want to thank Kessler because he was with us on time. Dateline Milwaukee to talk about the near brawl he got into with another member staying, I don't know if he's staying at the same hotel or just hanging out at the same hotel bar that Kessler and Freaky were hanging out in. I just love, and you can just hear Freaky looking at Kessler and saying, what did you do now?
What'd you do?
What just assuming that it was Kessler's fault that he almost ended up getting into a fight. That was between 4:30 and just past 5 o'clock.
I do like how she has had to tell him multiple times what would the headline be.
Yeah.
Like, that's a conversation they've had.
Well, because I think part of it is maybe that she feels like she's got more to lose at this point.
Well, there's no question. He has nothing to lose.
And at this point, and I think that's what maybe encourages him to think, yeah, well, you know what, I'm going to play. Maybe I'm going to get into a little bit with this guy.
Dangerous.
Very dangerous.
Dangerous for Freaky.
Especially for Freaky, and really even for Kessie at his advanced age.
Right.
Because he may know how far he's going to go. The guy he's dealing with, who knows? Especially if he's a drunken idiot. And it sounds like, shockingly, booze had indeed something to do with it. We also know tomorrow, in addition to a player, Alec Lewis will join. I think, will this be his first visit on the Bumper to Bumper show?
Kind of. He joined our draft roundtable 2 drafts ago with Seifert and Gessling.
That's true. That's
in terms of a standalone Alec Lewis segment, this is it.
So we're looking forward to that. He'll be at training camp tomorrow. Preseason opener, man. 3 days away, right? Saturday,
3 o'clock.
Saturday, 3 o'clock, pregame show, 1 o'clock right here in the
You got it.
You're going to go, I heard.
No,
you will not be going.
No, I will not be.
Somebody suggested that you tell it was your son, you said, right, who was asking your 11-year-old, why not, I mean, the weighty questions he was asking, have him rent on his behalf Mel Brooks, The History of the World, Part 1. Now, you might have some explaining to do because not all of it is, I would say, either politically correct and it might be a little bit graphic.
Yeah.
You might have to have some explanation,
okay.
But at least you'd get some, because Mel throws out some theories on how the world began and, Cro-Magnon man and a couple, maybe even Neanderthal and some of the things that they were up to.
We'll think about it.
You can throw it into the hopper at least.
He's quoting now Happy Gilmore 2, as is his 8-year-old brother.
Which you loved.
I did. Yeah, we haven't done a deep dive on it, but we can whenever.
Okay.
I thought it was great. I really enjoyed
Any
it.
shot for my musical guest idea?
I haven't heard anything.
Nothing back.
I have 3 tentacles out there.
She is, because I learned this from John Bream. She performed last night, and she's back at the same location tomorrow night. Maybe even
And
tonight
Friday.
as well. Is it Friday? Oh,
Yeah,
Thursday and Friday. Oh, I didn't realize
Yeah.
that. Okay. So I'm hoping, she's been on the show before, Super Bowl week, when Super Bowl was here.
She's been on a couple times.
And she's been on a couple times, yeah. So we'll see. She's a really good guest. All right, I shouldn't have to turn this into a mystery. Sheila E. has joined us before and is performing in town. We'd love to have her on again. Even if we're on location, we can still make that work.
Yeah, we can do it tomorrow.
A quick phoner. Or, if Friday's better, see if you can get her in studio Friday before her Friday performance.
Well,
It's 4 miles from downtown.
What really bothers me is she was at Fox 9 today.
Are you serious?
I learned about that after I learned that she was
Lori
in town.
Fisher make a fool of herself around her?
Luckily, no, but only because Lori's not working this week.
Oh, that's right. She's off
Because
again.
she might have said to us, Sheila E. is
Yeah,
here,
you're
and
right.
then we could have said, hey, can you talk to
Who
her
was she
people
on
or
with?
her?
Was she on with Jason?
She was on with Jason.
Jason, yeah.
Yes.
She's a great guest.
Yes, she was.
Outstanding, yeah.
That was a great Super Bowl week bit.
Yeah,
When
it was.
her publicist or whoever came over and just said, hey, do you want Sheila E. on?
Yeah, because no one else wanted her on.
She was doing some stuff.
She done some,
Yeah.
but not a lot. And she was
was
kind of sitting there. And
she was
said,
right there.
let's
It
do
was awesome.
Yeah, it was very, very good. So that's a hope for tomorrow, or maybe for Friday. We'll see how that indeed goes. Are we making any You said the State Fair guest list, we're in pretty good shape.
Yeah.
You think? Everything's kind of coming together?
It is, yeah. Right now we have something booked for, I think, every day we're out there.
Including Daryl Hall, who said, no, that's not likely yet to happen.
The problem is we're out early that day.
Is that the day? Is that an early day?
I think it's one of the
that's
days
all the
we're out
better.
early. I know.
Yeah, that's all right. I'm assuming that's probably going to be unlikely. And as you said, when I looked at the list, there weren't a lot of other people that interested.
It's not
me
a great
so much.
list,
It's
I
not
don't
a
think,
great
this year.
list,
And
yeah.
I love the State Fair Grandstand, as you know.
What happened? Are we getting cheap on what we pay, or is it just not our year for whatever reason?
Maybe it's not our year.
Might be not be our year. Exactly it. So tonight it's Fan on Demand, and then as usual, Dan Patrick will indeed follow. I think, don't the Lynx come back home later in the week?
Play Washington on Friday.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yep.
You mentioned that. Yeah. And you were talking about who'll have the bigger attendance, the Twins or the Lynx.
It should be the Lynx.
It should be the Lynx. I'm not sure. Maybe people are perking up a little bit now. 2 straight victories. We got a series win. The kids hitting home run, hitting dongs everywhere. And we're only, 5.5, 6 out of the
That's right.
last wild card.
What a story it would be.
That and 6 teams in between.
It would be a great story. We'd take the story.
Yeah, for sure. 100%. Thank you for watching today's program, if you did that, although I think that would have been pretty difficult. Thank you most importantly for listening. And we will be chatting with you from Vikings training camp. Back yet again tomorrow starting at 3 o'clock. Hope to see you there.
The stories a stadium could tell.
Purple Pride, Purple Pride.
Thank you, everybody, for coming here.